and the masters of the universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull!" Cringer became the mighty Battle Cat, and I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Only 3 others share this secret. Our friends, the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Orko. Together we defend Castle Grayskull from the evil forces of Skeletor.
Taylor, how do Adam and I let you talk us into these crazy adventures?
Havoc staff to all Illinoisans.
What?
You heard me.
You're retarded. It's not hard to read.
Shut up. Hello, this is TFG1Mike, and welcome to the 10th chapter in Tales of Eternia. With me, as always, in this journey to Masters of the Universe franchise is OptimusSolo. Hello.
Hello, sir.
Are you ready to continue on with the powers of Grayskull?
Always ready to continue on with the powers of Grayskull.
Before we get into it, there's a big faux pas on my part with episode 9. There's audio clips in there that I specifically grabbed. I think it's for Quest of the Sword. Because I wanted to bring them up in our discussion about Teela just being overjoyed about He-Man scolding Adam. And it brought on this whole thing of Ram Man saying, "Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen the two of you together before." You know? And I meant to bring it up and I completely forgot until I got to the editing process. I'm like, damn it, I knew I forgot something. But,
So he's fired.
Whatever. It's not like you're going to sit there and edit the show.
That's true.
So what do we think of that whole thing from Quest of the Sword about her wanting to have He-Man punish Adam?
I didn't mind that part. I mean, I thought it was somewhat interesting for her to be calling out on He-Man to try to, like, talk some sense into him and kind of that little paradox that it set up. So I didn't mind that. You know, it wasn't a bad part.
Yeah. And I love at the end how Man-at-Arms is like, let's just move on from this.
Yeah.
Let's.
She is always wanting... Princess, she has an obsession with Prince Adam.
Yes, she does.
Always concerned about where he's at or what he's doing or that he's up to snuff and that he's getting yelled at. Definitely a crush.
And I love, and again, I don't think I mentioned this episode 9. I love the very end when Adam shows up and Man-at-Arms can't say anything. How? I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, so in this episode of Tales of Eternia, we'll be giving you our thoughts on episode 28, Valley of Power, episode 29, Gameplan, and wait, is the Rock a football star in that? Okay. And episode 30, The Return of Orko's Uncle. So I hope you're ready, because it's time to go back to Eternia.
The Valley of Power. That giant bird must be the Mother Roe that guards the valley against all intruders. It's just as the legend says. Well, I'd better move fast if I want to steal your egg. And when it hatches, I'll teach the little monster to obey my every command. And when it grows as big as you, my giant lady, all Eternia had better watch out.
So first up today is Valley of Power. Take it away, Plotman.
Episode 28, Valley of Power, written by Doug Booth. Air date of Wednesday, October 12th, 1983. I'll save my thoughts on Doug Booth till a later date. All right, the plot for Valley of Power. Teela, Prince Adam, and Cringer are exploring the Valley of Power in search of magical waters when they cross paths with an explorer called Danavas. They soon learn that Danavis has stolen the Mother Roe's egg from her nest. While He-Man and Battle Cat attempt to save Teela from the Mother Roe, Danavis drinks the magical waters and gains the power he seeks. Taking control of the recently hatched baby Roe at the same time, teaming up with the Mother Roe, He-Man and Battle Cat and Teela attempt to stop Danavis from taking over the Royal Palace. I can hardly even read that without commenting. As far as the Masters, we had just the regulars. Mm-hmm. And as far as the evil villains, evil warriors, we had none of them. We just have Danavis as the bad character in this one. And the PSA was He-Man telling us to value plant and animal life. Don't be stealing baby birds' eggs, basically. Kind of like a Captain Planet. Yeah. So, if you can somehow untwist the plot in this one, sir, what are your thoughts about it?
I don't ever remember watching this episode as a kid.
Me neither. Thank God.
And another thing I need to bring up, another thing I was thinking of when I was going back and watching these episodes, something that we haven't brought up to my knowledge is that most of the early season 1 episodes, 83, 84, I remember watching in reruns 85 to... Because I know obviously He-Man ended 85 because that's when She-Ra picked up, but I don't think as a 3-year-old I remember watching He-Man. I remember watching He-Man as 5, 6, 7, so that would have been 85 to 87. So I watched most of this stuff in syndication in reruns after it was already off the air. And that's something we should have pointed out at the beginning, but yeah, I don't think I ever remember seeing this episode. The Valley of Power. Hey, look, it's Wondar. I know it's not really Wondar, it's Danavis or Cannabis or whatever the fuck his name is. But, just his look, his outfit design, it reminded me of that old Wonder Bread toy tie-in they had.
Yeah. I'm trying to think back. I mean, I'm assuming that most of my experience in watching this was in syndication as well. I mean, I know I saw some firsthand and some live shots as well, but I'm assuming that a lot of it was also in, like I said, in syndication. And I don't want to comment too much on the plot of this one. I mean, I'm going to a lot in a little bit. Yeah. But I mean, basically you have a wandering bad guy who is trying to get rich and powerful, and he harms Mother Nature, and He-Man and his friends have to save the day. If that's all it was, that would be one thing. But there's a whole lot of other things mixed in there that really hurt the plot here.
Yeah, this is basically your classic 80s cartoon taking on a Fountain of Youth plot.
With a lot
Fountain of Power or Fountain of whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely a Fountain of Youth type aspect and a nature aspect kind of tied in there. And, oh my goodness, I'm trying not to be negative here, but this is going to be real hard during the episode 28 discussion. If this is anybody's favorite episode, they need to be dragged into a street and beaten.
Marzo.
Please tell me nobody likes this episode. Not to reveal my hand here.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
The plot was not, it wasn't even heavy-handed. There was nothing for a plot here. Yes, there's the whole Fountain.
Well, I think there was too much is what the problem is. It wasn't that there was nothing, it was that there was too much, and a lot of other things got in the way too. I know I'm talking vague, but you'll understand shortly.
Yeah, I get it. All right, well, let's head to Grayskull.
But just where is the spring?
We'll be standing in it. When the waters rise, that is.
Look out, you two. Here she comes again. Hey, Cringer, I think it's time we became more powerful ourselves. And we can't wait for that magical water, either. By the power of Grayskull!
Like Orko, we're flying through the window of Castle Grayskull. Oh wait, I think that's a different episode. Do you have anything you like about this one? Because if not, I'll just take mine really quick.
Just two things here.
Okay.
First of all, I love that they show. We talked about it last episode, and I did capture a picture for this one, but they do show Eternia again.
Mm-hmm.
Right from the beginning, they show a picture of Eternia from afar, and it definitely still has North and South America with a blown up. It's almost like North and South America, and then the islands that are in the Caribbean are just magnified, like so they're much bigger. But you'll see that in the post. We'll throw that in there. There was definitely some Star Trek sound effects at the beginning of this episode. I'm talking about the original Star Trek.
Right.
There's definitely sounds that I swear I've heard in Star Trek episodes that they used in this episode. And then my favorite line of the episode was Cringer. I believe it was coming from Cringer here. And he goes, "Battle Cat's my idol."
Yeah.
That was a funny line. Those are the only things I could find.
All right. Well, I found a little bit more than you did. Adam made a funny. This is the very, very beginning. And I'm sure it'll be in the I'm sure it was in the audio. I forget what it was at the time, but he makes a joke, and I thought it was pretty funny. And then right after that, after he transforms, He-Man got in a good quip. Where's Jane Jetson when you need her? Battle can't fly this crazy thing. I thought that was awesome. It's shaking the stripes off of me. So I did like that. What I did really enjoy and what I really did like about this one is how they just didn't say, how they didn't ignore the other characters. I like how they explain where every other heroic or royal character, like the King and Queen are off at Mount Vernon or wherever. Man-at-Arms and the Palace Guards are out training at the,
Come on.
other side of Snake Mountain. They made an excuse or an explanation of why the palace is essentially
on one hand that's good, and on another hand it's really bad.
Well, okay, all right, whatever. So that's what we got for Grayskull moments.
All
So
right, make sure you have plenty of suitcases and baskets and bags, because we got lots of stuff to fill them with at Snake Mountain.
Hey, I want to stay and help He-Man.
Next time, Orko, I promise.
Ah, Tila, I never get to do anything exciting.
Tila and Orko are coming. I must think. An antidote for that baby roe. One that will return it to its mother as it should be. As for that evil Danavas, well, I needn't worry about him. Anger reducer. A touch of baby love. Some motherly understanding. A pinch of a baby's cry.
Tila, I can't hang on much longer.
They're here, and just in time.
Help! Help!
Orko! It's all right, Tila. Orko was only splashed with a bit of the antidote I had prepared for you. Oh, and don't worry about Danavas. The effects of the water will wear off any moment now. Just like Orko will recover.
What's happening? For a minute there, I thought...
Come on, Orko. And thank you, Sorceress.
don't stand too close to those lava pits around Snake Mountain. We are here. And not that I don't want to be a gracious host, but I need to give Kevin some time to organize his thoughts here. So I'm going to go first. Another bad animation break after Tila says, I don't think any of us has the patience for that. I wasn't expecting this. Like, okay, Mask, I expect the bad cliffhangers. I don't expect that out of He-Man, and every time it happens, every time it breaks up and then shows one of those transition scenes, it pisses me off because, again, there was another one in the part where it took a break and then it came back with the He-Man logo. It was not fluid at all, so the animation on this, as far as that goes, seriously sucks. He-Man calls the Wind Raider to go against the baby bird? Really? Seriously? And what the fuck? Teela and Orko are flying high on the mother bird, and she just drops the antidote into He-Man's hand. Really? Come on. They showed them, like, I would say maybe 20 feet in the sky. You mean to tell me dropping something 20 feet, it's going to stay in motion and land gently in his hand without breaking or without flying or without the wind picking? Fuck that. Oh, God. All right. What do you got?
All right. The problems with this episode start within the first minute. Seriously.
Okay.
All right. We set up this plot. We set up this story by, and I'm going back to the plot synopsis here. Teela, Prince Adam, and Cringer are exploring the Valley of Power in search of magical waters.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck would the good guys, in this case the heroes, Prince Adam, Teela, and Cringer, be out searching for water that can give them unlimited power? That is something bad guys do. That is something Skeletor should be doing. That is something Beastman or Evil Lyn should be doing. This is completely out of character for a hero to be looking for some type of water that's going to give them fake or manufactured strength, power, long life, whatever the water is going to give you. Mm-hmm. This is not something the heroes and the good guys should be doing. What is this teaching anybody? That you should be greedy and try to get stuff that's not yours and try to, like, you know, become something that you're not. And, like, I just don't understand. Why are they there? Why are they searching for magical waters? It's not like they're historians or, like, freaking archaeologists, or they're not doing something for the sake of, oh, this is a historical artifact that we need to explore and, you know, do stuff like that. They're literally talking about the kinds of powers that this magical water could give them, and be ready to drink when the water's there and make sure you don't miss it. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
They shouldn't be out there. I don't understand what their role or what their purpose is being out there, because that's completely out of character. So it's just from the get-go, the whole reason that they're even in this place to me does not jive.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't mention in the Castle Grayskull moment here that I do appreciate Danavis as a character.
Mm-hmm.
I know he reminds us of different people or whatever, but I think it was a decent look.
No, I like the look. It's just the first thing I thought, because I didn't know who the character was. It didn't come up until he met up with, you know, the crew, or what his name wasn't mentioned.
Right.
Like, as soon as we saw him.
No, I'm just saying, like, as a side character that's somewhere there, you know, on Eternia, that's a bad character. Like, I didn't mind that part. He fit the role. He had the look. You know, his voice was, we've heard before, obviously, but you know, I don't have a problem with that, so I just want to get that out of the way. Okay, so first of all, the reason that they're trying to gain fake strength makes no sense. So that's my first problem. Now, Adam apparently doesn't need fake strength, because at one point they give him He-Man strength. Yes. How the fuck is Adam holding Cringer up by his tail while Cringer is flopped over like the side of a cliff? Prince Adam's not strong, Doug Booth. He-Man's the strong one. There's no way Adam does not... It's not just Adam pretending not to be He-Man. Adam does not have those characteristics when he is Adam.
Okay, but let me ask you this, though. Do you think at some point in the series that, like this episode, Adam could have that moment like Cringer had that moment last episode?
If it was about being brave... Yes.
Okay.
If it was about overcoming something,
but just sheer strength,
but he does not have the sheer strength to hold up Cringer, who is a giant freaking tiger.
Yeah.
All right. I can understand if it was something personality-wise or something like he had to overcome, you know, like Cringer. Cringer's a fraidy cat. He had to overcome that. That I can buy, that he had something pushed him to the edge. But for Adam to simply be holding Cringer up is something only He-Man should have been able to do. So that's just a bad characterization on Doug Booth not knowing who Adam is and who He-Man is and the difference. Okay, so they're searching for this magical water that apparently has multiple effects on people. For some people, it makes you strong.
Yeah.
For some people, it makes you huge. or grow and age at a alarmingly fast rate.
Now you're talking about the difference between the human effects and the animal effects.
I don't buy that they should have different effects on humans and different effects on animals.
Okay.
Why should it make humans strong and make animals grow faster? So I had a problem with that. So not only are they searching for magic water, they're searching for magic water that can do not just one thing. Apparently it can do whatever our story needs it to do.
Yeah.
All right. Again, I kind of have this down. We already mentioned on it. But the old mama animal pissed at the baby animal stolen story again.
Yeah.
I've seen this enough in my life. I don't need to see it again.
Yeah.
You steal an egg, you steal a baby, mama's going to be pissed, come after you. It's the same old story. Nothing changes. Okay, now you had mentioned, I do appreciate the fact that they do mention where the king and the queen are. They do mention where the different members are.
Mm-hmm.
However, this is bad writing because the people, the masters of the universe, are not this dumb. The royal palace is not this dumb. Never in a million years would this kingdom leave Orko as the only one in the entire palace. Not just Orko. They could have done Orko and all of the basically the foot soldiers, the guards.
Yeah,
that may have been feasible. They could have done Orko and someone else, something like that. But for Orko to be the only soul at the palace is complete bullshit.
I agree with that because we all know that Man-at-Arms doesn't like him around his lab. And granted, Orko was just taking a nap, but there's
another reason why that's bad writing. Because if that was the case, if we believe how this is written, that Orko is the only person at the palace, and Prince Adam, Tila, and Cringer are out looking for magical water, all right? Mm-hmm. When Danavis got to the royal palace, Skeletor would have been in charge.
Yeah, that's true. Where was Skeletor this entire fucking episode?
Because if Orko's the only one at the palace, Skeletor would know that, and he would have taken advantage of it.
He would have, yep. You're right.
That's bad writing as well. Yes, you accounted for where all the good guys were, but you didn't account for the baddest man on the planet.
True.
He would have been sitting on the throne at the royal palace. Okay. Then we go to the fact that we understand that Battle Cat apparently is almost like Beastman, where he can speak to all the different animals. All right, Battle Cat can do his little growls, and he can speak to birds. He can speak to, what else has he spoken to? Dragons. He can speak to the animals. So in this episode, we learn that not only Battle Cat can speak to the mama bird, but Tila also can. There was moments where Tila communicated with the bird. That's the only way it can be explained, is that she communicated with the bird.
Well, okay, there is one instance that I'm remembering is when she's riding the mama bird, and she says something, and then right after that she says, "Do you understand?" And the bird nods its head. Okay, that instance I can almost forgive because of a bird. She gives
directions at one point. She says, "We're going to drop this off here. You go that way."
I'm not making excuses for that part. I'm making an excuse. One excuse for her asking the bird if the bird understands, and the bird nods its head yes. Mm-hmm. So that's the only time I'm making an excuse. You're completely right. It's how the hell did that happen? Tila has no magical powers. She has no sword she can pull out of her ass, even though she probably enjoys it being there. You know.
The other thing is, they beat that to a dead. They beat it to death in this episode because there was way too much talking to the bird.
Yeah.
Battle Cat did it multiple times. Tila had a couple times, and Battle Cat did it some more, and there was just way too much communication there. Mm-hmm. Like, it became like an every other scene thing where we're giving a message to this bird somehow. On top of that, then we have about 1 million trips here and there going on.
Yeah.
And this is about, if you watch about halfway through the episode, or maybe 2/3, there's a good about 5 to 10 minute segment of this episode where all it is birds or vehicles or some form of transportation going back and forth from this location to that location. Like, it got really old watching it. I almost stopped watching. Mm-hmm. I'm like, how many trips can we make from here to there? It's getting old. Okay. More mischaracterization here. Don't worry, folks. I only have about 5 things left. More examples of a writer not knowing a character.
Mm-hmm.
When the hell has the sorceress ever kept, used, or needed potions?
Oh, I know it. I meant to write something down about that. I just
Like, it
didn't.
almost shows her having her own little laboratory.
It does. No, it doesn't almost just show it. It does just show it because that's what. No, it was this episode. Okay, it wasn't another episode. That's why I said, as we fly through the window like Orko, because Orko ends up flying through the window of Castle Grayskull, crashing into the friggin' chemistry set, and
the magic has
potion.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, there's literally like all these different jars of potions and liquids and stuff like that. No, that's not the sorceress.
No,
the sorceress has a mystical, magical Castle of Grayskull powered power.
Yeah.
If she has potions that are doing something, then that is taken away from the power of Castle Grayskull.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Oh, wait. I gotta ask a question really quick. Now, not only does she have potions, quote unquote potions, how do you get the laugh of a mama bird how do you get everything that she fucking said to put it in the potion of a teaspoon of this, a tablespoon of love? How is love? Okay, yes, I know there was love potion number 9, but how is there love in liquid? Like, oh,
this is a sorceress, not a witch, people.
Yeah, fucking Doug Booth, you dickhead.
So then she conjures up this, using her potions, she makes this anecdote.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's some consistent writing here. The effects of the anecdote will wear off of Danavas and Orko. Mm-hmm. It'll wear off them momentarily. The magic power, the magic water will wear off on those two. They don't need the anecdote.
Well, no.
Danavas doesn't need Danavas
right.
doesn't need the anecdote because it's going to wear off.
Right, but what happened was in that scene when Orko crashes into the window.
I didn't say Orko, I misspoke there.
Okay, but I was going to say because Orko drinks the antidote and becomes a baby-like thing, because that's what the point of the potion is. When she gives the antidote to the baby bird or to the giant bird, it's supposed to make it docile again.
No, the inconsistencies are twofold here. All right, first off is the inconsistency in the lasting power of the magical water.
Right.
All right, the magical water, the power that it gave Danavas is going to momentarily disappear, go away, and he will never have it again. This water, first of all, this makes no sense. This water that is only present, every 1,000 years or something?
That's what Tila said, every 1,000 years.
Every 1,000 years, this water that you wait for 1,000 years, you literally get a day of power out of.
Or 2 hours.
A couple hours of power. Anyway. Oh, God.
Power hour.
Anyway, this is what I should have been doing while watching this episode. The hour of power, excuse me. Oh, my count days. Anyway, so the water will wear off its effects on Danavas, but it will not wear off of the bird. The bird, you need an anecdote.
Well, the anecdote
because the bird grew and the guy just became powerful, but whatever.
Right.
It should have worn off both individuals.
Yes, I agree.
An anecdote.
Right, I agree. Yes, I do agree with that.
First level of inconsistency. I'll let you comment here in a second. I got to get this out of my system.
Okay, go ahead.
Second level of inconsistency here is not only does the magical water have different staying power on the bird and the human, then we give the anecdote is exposed to two different things, Orko and the bird.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's going to make... Now, in this case, we are under the impression that it's going to wear off when it was used on Orko.
Right.
But it's
not going to wear off.
Going to wear off on the bird.
Right.
So which is it?
Yeah, and plus, enough of it spilled when Orko crashed that there shouldn't even be enough of it for it to even affect the bird. Second of all, something else I forgot to write down, but you reminded me. He-Man throws the antidote and the bird eats it, glass container and all. There's glass in the bird's stuff. Okay, when you drink an antidote, when you drink anything, you don't take the whole fucking glass and put it in your fucking mouth, or else your mouth would be fucking bloody to death.
It's just terrible. The magical water has two different effects on people or birds. It has two completely different side effects drinking the magic water. It has two different staying powers. It'll wear off of one and it won't wear off the other. And then the antidote that is going to be used, that shouldn't be needed in the first place, is going to wear off on one thing and not on the other. At this point, I literally wrote down in my notes, can this episode please end? Stop the pain, please. Okay. Then, as you mentioned, yes, of course, the logical thing when you need this, the tiny bit of anecdote that's left, and you need this because you need to use it on the bird. Yes, of course, the logical thing would be to throw it. Yes, we should throw it to He-Man. I don't.
No. She doesn't throw it. She drops it.
Well, she basically throws it.
Yeah, well, she pulled a mask where she just dropped it and it magically lands in He-Man's hands.
They're not that dumb. I know Teela's dumb. She's not that dumb. This is an important thing. You hand it to whoever is going to be responsible, in this case He-Man, for dispersing it to the bird.
Right.
You drop it like that. You've got And then to top it all off, icing on the cake. We've been through all of this whole rigmarole of flying this way, that way, and magic water, and antidotes, and Danavis going all over the place with these birds, flying back and forth. And somehow, in this, He-Man, maybe it's some of this anecdote or something, the Masters have somehow convinced Danavis and all this that he should turn to good. Because at the end of all this, apparently he was afraid of heights and flying, and he was scared and all this other stuff, and he is going to change his evil ways and be a good guy now. What?
Mm-hmm.
That just, every bit of his character that they had built up to that point, they shattered in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because there's no reason the events of that day would have caused him to turn. He was a bad guy. He was out for no good. He wanted power. He was greedy. A little ride on a bird, I don't care if you're afraid of heights or what the explanation was that they're trying to sell us, not buying.
Mm-hmm.
This episode's terrible. I'm done.
All right, it's awards time, ladies and gentlemen.
I got one.
Now this is what I call a real cliffhanger.
So, as I said before, it is time to hand out some awards. First of all...
Can I give mine away because it's going to be the most predictable one in our entire run?
I know which one it is, too.
You can say it for me if you'd like.
Havoc Staff to Doug Booth.
Absolutely.
I'm going to add on to that. Havoc Staff to the entire animation team as well, because there was just so many times. Like I said earlier, I know Filmation animation is not like the greatest animation in the fucking world.
It does have its magical parts to it, though.
Right, but I was not expecting hard start and stops.
Yeah.
Between the transit, I don't. When I think of Filmation, I think of smooth transitions. One scene flows into the other. Not this stop on black screen for 5 seconds and then hey, here's a spinning He-Man logo. I don't think of that. So whoever animated this episode, you suck too, just as much as the writer did. Any other awards or
can we give Doug Booth another Havoc Staff?
Let's see. We can brain him one and we can shove the other one up his ass.
Right.
I don't think we'll ever get an interview with Doug Booth.
Not if he listens to this episode. Because if we ever did interview him, I would grill him on this episode. Double teamed by the Havoc Staff, sir.
Oh, good lord! All right, episode ranking.
It's the worst episode I've ever seen of this series. It literally is. I give it a 0.
I agree. I also gave it a 0. If I could, I'd give it a -10.
It's just terrible. I mean, I'm going to have to go back and look and see at the end of this whole run, how many zeros I give out. But this, right now, for me, this is the worst episode I've seen in our run.
Yeah, I completely agree. So let's move on to the next episode.
Of course I let them escape. It's all part of my game plan.
Whatever game you've got planned, you're going to be the big loser, Negator.
I never lose. Nerves, power me!
inserted and ready.
No more of your games, He-Man. Now you'll play my game. It's an easy game. Just find the end of the maze and you'll be free. Of course, no one has ever found it before.
Up next is... What is up next? I forget.
The game plan.
Oh, yes. Something that didn't star The Rock. Take it away, plot man.
First of all, I gotta say that anything that came after that last episode was bound to seem better than it probably is. Just getting that out there. All right, this is episode 29, The Game Plan, written by Coleslaw Johnson. I don't know. It's probably Coslow, but I want to say Coleslaw. Another guy that we're not going to be able to interview now, Coslow Johnson. Its air date was Thursday, October 13th, 1983, and the plot goes a little something like this. While testing a new beam ray, the heroes are attacked by a powerful villain called Negator. Sorry.
Okay. I know I normally don't interrupt you in the plot, but I have to interrupt you here. I actually had to look this character up because I thought he got an action figure in the Masters Classics line that was released in 2008 that's still ongoing. Mm-hmm. There are two characters in the Masters of the Universe franchise that have similar names. You have Negator, which is in this episode, and then you have Megator.
Nice.
Megator is the one that got the action figure. But anyway, continue on with the plot.
So the interestingly named Negator wishes Man-at-Arms to join forces with him, but Man-at-Arms declines. Later, Negator tricks Teela into flying out to the Valley of the Desert where he captures her, and fearing for his daughter's life, Man-at-Arms has no choice but to serve Negator. He-Man, Battlecat, and Ram-Man journey to Negator's lair and confront the villain. But He-Man and Ram-Man are transported into a giant video game. We are still with no evil warriors in this episode. Our bad guy is Negator, and our masters are all the regulars, with obviously Ram-Man accompanying them. I don't consider him a regular, but he's as close to being one as anyone else. Like, he's the closest to being a regular without always being there.
Rammy becomes a regular.
Right, it just hasn't been that way up to this point. Our PSA was He-Man, and he was all about game etiquette, video game etiquette, and not getting so wrapped up in winning that you forget things about what's really important. I'll start.
Go ahead.
This plot's interesting. I don't know exactly where this guy comes from, or where he's been, or anything about him. He seems to just appear for this episode. But it is interesting to see somebody focus on Man-at-Arms and his value and wanting to steal it. It kind of adds a little depth to Man-at-Arms. And I like the idea of this video game-esque kind of sci-fi aspect of the episode. I'm not 100% sold on the plot here, but I do think it had potential and it was interesting.
Yeah. I agree.
It was just interesting for a sword and sorcery fantasy type thing to tackle a video game or a virtual reality type of sci-fi plot. I mean, I know this does have some space and sci-fi aspects to it, but it was unique. It's something we hadn't seen before in the series.
I don't know. I'm
compared to last episode, I was accepting of this plot.
Compared to last episode, this one's good, but this one at the same time, to me, just like last episode's plot, when I said, really, a Fountain of Youth episode, this one came to me like, really, a Game Master episode? It was before Game Master. I was half waiting for Kevin Keane to pop into the game with his, power pad. And
he didn't exist
yet. But the thing is, in the episode, he calls himself a game master.
I know, they stole it from He-Man.
Well, anyway. But, I mean, this to me is your average haunted house type of episode.
Yeah. I kind of like that thrown in there, though we hadn't had one yet.
Well, I like it too. I mean, it's a combination of your average haunted house episode where someone's controlling every move, and it's a combination of, oh, hey, we're in a Temple of Doom, and we have to outwit a bunch of booby traps.
It really, really, really reminds me of an episode of MacGyver, where the bad guy Murdoch basically has MacGyver in like a house that is completely rigged, and it's almost like he's playing a video game with him and sending different things at him and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like every series has one of these at some point. We just hadn't seen it up to this point, so I'll give it, as long as we don't see it again,
Yeah.
And the video game PSA was something kids needed to hear.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't so much mind the video game PSA. I mean, I like this one. It's all right. It just doesn't have that. You're gonna kill me. It's no A Beastly Sideshow. I'll tell you that right now.
The populace has not determined the fate of those 2 episodes yet. The people have not spoken, so I will not comment on that yet.
All right. We command the jawbridge open.
Yes.
A monster! A monster!
That's you, Orko.
I like the monster better.
So we have entered Castle Grayskull. I'm gonna go first on this one.
You do that, sir.
I have the power, and I have a headache. Bouncing walls. That's an interesting prison. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a bounce house, but except the floor doesn't bounce, the walls do. The only problem, and I know that would be more of a Snake Mountain thing, but just kind of like talking about the bouncing walls, you would think that the bouncing walls, because they are technically electrified, that they would electrocute the hell out of you, besides just bouncing around. But anyway, Battle Cat scared the pants off of them. I love that. That was so awesome. Okay, you mentioned last episode in VOP that you heard classic 60s Star Trek sound effects. Was that an R2-D2 sound effect? After He-Man asks, I wonder what other surprises are around. After he asks that question, I swear to God, I heard an R2-D2 sound effect before Negator starts talking again.
I did not hear that, but I'm surprised I didn't.
All right, what do you got for Grayskull moments?
Well, like I already said, I like the unique and original storyline. We hadn't seen that before, so it was something different, and I appreciate that. I always like it when they work in. It's very cheesy, and a lot of people probably don't like it. But when you actually hear the name of the episode in an episode, like they said Gameplan multiple times at some point in the episode, I kind of always like that. It's like, oh, that's where the name of the episode came from.
Yeah.
But it's just my little thing there. I like that He-Man, in reference to Ram Man, says about something that Ram Man did, and he's like, yep, effective but dumb. Or somebody says effective but dumb in reference to Ram Man. I believe that's what they're referencing. I thought that was a hilarious line. And I do like that they reference the Mystic Mountains again. It just adds continuity and adds connections to past episodes. So I like that they didn't come up with some other mountain name. They literally referenced part of the world that has already been established as being present.
Right.
And it's been a while since we've seen one of Duncan's inventions.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a decent time to bring another one into the story. You know, if they do that every episode, that gets old. But they literally haven't done this in probably 5 to 10 episodes.
They have not done it to my knowledge since the episode you hate, Like Father, Like Daughter.
Yeah, so it was good to see Duncan back at it and inventing something. And not only inventing something, but for people in Eternia, or wherever this guy came from, to recognize Man-at-Arm's reputation for being a brilliant mind in inventing some things like this.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. I don't know exactly how it works as far as sculpting something. Like, did he put a blueprint into what he wanted it to look like first, and then he shot it?
I didn't know. I didn't see that.
So anyway,
no,
so those are things I liked.
Yeah. All right, then. Let's, to Snake Mountain we will go, then.
Now you've fallen right into my trap. Time to finish the game.
Sizzle while you work. We're in Snake Mountain. So, I only have 2 of them.
I only have 3.
Okay. I know we've talked about this plenty of time before, but if Adam and Cringer went in and He-Man along with Battle Cat came out, You'd think people would be smarter and put two and two together. even though He-Man says, "Oh, well, Adam got out the other side," I just cannot. Okay, I know it's Man-at-Arms that knows the secret. I know it's Orko that knows the secret, and that's fine. But Teela, come on. Most redheads aren't dumb. There is no.
She's so in love with Prince Adam that she's blinded to it.
Oh my god. I don't know. I know you love the whole adventure theme thing, like the Indiana, like the traps and the boob. I don't know. I just found this one kind of boring.
Oh, I don't think they had any good traps or booby traps or tricks in this one.
Right? No. What I'm saying is, I know you like.
I like it if they're good.
The format of an adventure story. Yeah. But I don't know. I just found this one to kind of be kind of boring after a while. Like, I don't even know if Negator comes back. I haven't looked it up to see if he does, but I don't think he does. And it's like one episode he wants to rule the entire planet, and then we never see him again. Seriously, really? That kind of bored the hell out of me.
Well, first of all, I think that if Man-at-Arms really wants to pursue his inventing career, and he wants to be a successful entrepreneur, he really needs to get a marketing team. Because you cannot name your invention the beam ray.
Yeah.
First of all, a beam and a ray are, for all intents and purposes, I know scientifically they may be different, but they're basically the same thing. That's like calling something, I don't know, like a dagger sword.
Yeah.
Like a beam and a ray. And that's just a dumb name. It's boring. Get a marketing team behind your inventions. You need some more pizzazz. Usually, when you're watching these episodes, since they aired originally on TV, they had a commercial break.
Yes.
And they usually had a commercial break about halfway through, and that was the only commercial break.
Right.
All right. Usually, when watching these episodes in the DVD format, when there is no commercial break, you can usually tell where the commercial break would have been.
Right.
In some cases, they even make it a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm.
This episode had about 3 different areas that could have been cliffhangers. The commercial break came at none of those.
Yeah.
Like, there was missed opportunities here. At one point, they're like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen to blah, blah, blah. And instead of going to commercial break right there and leaving it a cliffhanger, Man-at-Arms immediately is like, oh, he'll be fine. He'll just blah, 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 blah. Like, it just ruined there was a moment for some, like, tension. There was a moment for some anxiety on what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And they immediately spoiled it with Man-at-Arms speaking. And then I don't know where the commercial break took place because there was about 4 different areas that had a break in here. Mm-hmm. And it was hard to tell which one was actually the commercial break. But I don't think it came at any of the cliffhanger ones. Mm-hmm. Just a technicality, but it just seemed weird. It didn't jive like all the other episodes have. My biggest problem with this episode, and really the only thing that knocks it, gives it a major point deductions, is kind of what you touched on a little bit with Negator.
Yeah.
All right, if you're going to have someone come in, this is not just like Danavis from the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Danavis's purpose was he was basically a power-hungry adventure explorer type guy. They didn't build him up as this end-all, be-all thing. He was needing something to get his power.
Right.
He was just like someone trying to find treasure, at the bottom of the ocean or something. Like, so he wasn't built up that much. So that I can buy him just being someone who was strolling through Eternia and got involved in a story with He-Man. But this is not what they do with Negator. Negator is brought in here as some type of very powerful. First of all, he has henchmen, which we haven't talked about. The nerds.
Nerds, power me.
Sound like I kept thinking they were saying nerds.
No, it's nerd.
But he has these cool nerd guys, right? That are like Jawas. So he has people that he controls.
Yeah.
He also has some type of power where they can power him up. He can also be transported. He can also transport people into things, and like they did into the game or whatever. So he is like this freaking like very powerful character, almost like a sorcerer type character. okay, if you're going to have someone with that much power and that much stuff behind him, then we need some explanation as to where he came from, where he's been, why we haven't heard of him yet. Is he a resident of Eternia, or did he get here by some other way? Did he transport himself here just to get Man-at-Arms? I need some type of backstory here.
Yeah.
I don't need that with all your other villains of the week, or like I said, I don't need a backstory with Danavis. I buy it. He was just strolling through. He's looking for power. I can 100% buy it. But this guy is built up so much that we need to have some type of reference for it. Where is he coming from? Like, even if they would have shown just like a couple minutes at the beginning where he's coming in from another planet, or he sees Man-at-Arms and he like somehow teleports himself to Eternia, if something like that happened, I missed it.
Yeah.
So it really bugs me that they did nothing as far as a story of who this person is. I guess we just have to buy that he's some very powerful person that we've never heard of before, and that no one on Eternia has ever heard of before. Because they don't recognize him.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, that was my big problem with this episode.
Yeah, I can see that. I don't know. There's just a lot of really weird moments. So let's hand out some hardware in the awards time section. Thing? What the thing?
I don't know. I thought you were searching for a word. We're just going to call it the awards section, portion, thing.
Yeah.
This sure isn't one of your ordinary walls. These bounce back.
Well, let's hand out some hardware. What do you got? You giving anything out?
Well, this kind of goes back to your... you touched on that this episode kind of gave you a little bit of a boring feel.
Mm.
Yeah, this episode, nobody really stands out for me. There was potential that there could have been some people that stood out, but nothing really grabbed me. Nobody was terrible. I guess I'm not giving out anything.
Okay.
In hindsight, I guess I could give like a shout out to the Nergs because they were kind of cool, but yeah, nobody did anything for me in this episode.
The Nergs were alright. They were mysterious at first, and then, oh, hey, they're servants of Dude. I just found that kind of, eh. However, because of cool lines like, and I have a headache, I'm giving it to the other personality this time. I always give a lot of stuff to Cringer, but this time, Battle Cat gets a power sword because he's just that damn awesome, scaring the hell out of the Nergs. Just because Battle Cat gets a power sword does not mean overall this episode kinda really sucked. It's not as bad as Valley of Power, but it wasn't an episode where we both went, oh my god, I could watch this on endless loop, or I can watch this once a week, or I can, this isn't an episode that it's not going to make our worst list, but it's not going to make our best list either. It's just kind of one of those episodes, for me, that falls in the middle.
Well put.
And I gave it 2 out of 5 Orkos. That's the best I can give it.
I kind of feel like I probably gave this one an inflated rating just because the previous episode was so bad. It just made this one seem like it was better than it was. But it's kind of like you said. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's somewhere in the middle. Kind of bland. Kind of boring. I gave it 3.
Yeah. All right. We are going to move on to the final episode of the day.
It is all your fault, Montauk. You'll pay for this.
Gladly, Spider. Just put it on my bill.
You'll see. Once Azrog and I join our powers, we'll be unbeatable.
Oh, really? Well, in that case, I think the time has come to stop you.
How did you do that?
You forget, my dear, I'm a magician too, and a good one at that, if I do say so myself.
Hey! What are you doing? Get me out of here!
I'm afraid I'll have to find Orko and He-Man first.
Mongo! Get back to this instant!
Not till I've found my friends. Don't worry, Spider, I shan't be long.
And finally up today, we have the return of Orko's uncle. Take it away, Bloodman.
Oh, I thought this was the return of Doug Booth. Episode 30, The Return of Orko's Uncle, written by Doug Booth, who we crucified earlier today. The air date, this was our Friday episode. This is how we ended our week, October 14th, 1983. Plot goes something like this. Azrog and Spydra form an alliance that bridges both Eternia and Orko's home world of Trala. Orko's uncle Montork chases Azrog across dimensions but causes a break in the spell so that Azrog arrives in the royal palace while Montork arrives in Spydra's castle. After a brief skirmish, the heroes chase Azrog to Spydra's castle where they run into the escaped Montork. Wanting to prove himself to his uncle, Orko leaves the group but ends up captured by Azrog. Just when the heroes look to have the upper hand, Azrog unveils his new evil ally, Orko. For the third consecutive episode, we have no Skeletor and no evil warriors. Please come back next episode, guys. And the masters are just the regulars as always, and the PSA is from Orko, all about how curiosity can kill the cat.
Yeah, so... So, hold on. So, the general gist of the plot is that these two wizards want to combine powers to take over the planet. Boring. I wonder why Montork's magic works fine on Eternia, but Orko's doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, okay, I know Montork is older, I know he's more experienced, but the whole point of Orko is that because Eternia is a different dimension than Trala, it's not a different planet, it's a different dimension. Because they are different dimensions, I see why they say Orko's magic works on Trala but doesn't work on Eternia. I get that. I don't understand is why does Montork's work in both places? I know Montork's older, he's a more powerful wizard, whatever else, but it's like, shouldn't Trallans have... I don't know.
The basis for the plot here, as far as the idea that we're going to have two villains, one from another, whether it be another planet, another dimension, in this case dimension, wherever. The idea that we're going to have two villains in two different places that are aware of each other, that know each other, that are going to combine forces to take on a common foe or to take over a certain area, planet, or whatever, that I can get behind. All right? Mm-hmm. If it's done right, if it's two believable villains,
mm-hmm.
I have no problem with that. That's a decent idea, and we know that there's Orko's homeworld, so you can have a villain from Trala, and I will just automatically buy that this guy is a powerful person because we know Trala exists, so we know where he comes from, unlike Negator. Right? So we would know where he comes from. We could just buy into the fact that this is the, not necessarily a Skeletor, but this is the Skeletor of Trala, or this is the, this is their evil bad guy.
Right.
Like, I can buy that. And him wanting to combine forces with someone on Eternia, I can buy all that. So the basis of the plot, I have no problem with.
It's just the execution.
A little bit on the execution here and the choices that are made.
Now, another question. Why is it that both the Orko's Uncles episodes have talking as the ultimate weapon to stop Orko from crossing a line?
Yeah, it's a lack of something else. It's a lack of creativity from Douglas Booth since he wrote both of them. But to answer your question, that is something that I was wondering too as far as the abilities of Montork and Orko on Trala versus on Eternia. And it's something that's not quite resolved.
No, it's not. So let's step inside Grayskull and see...
what good we can find.
Yes, exactly.
Fine, Orko, my boy, fine, but just be careful. Azrog and Spydra are a dangerous pair. Well, they better watch out for me and my uncle.
So we are inside Grayskull. He-Man has an amazing rope trick. And then he scaled the wall. I thought that was kind of cool, scaling Spydra's castle. Was alright.
Yeah.
And the shot, and this will be in the pictures, in the post, the shot of Teela at the end of the episode after He-Man echo laughs, her boob looks like it'll pop right out.
Yes, it does a little bit.
What did you like about this one?
I thought that the Spydra's castle was decent looking.
Yeah,
I thought it was a cool looking headquarters. It could be a cool place on Eternia. Like if you were to take a modern day tourist trip, you would want to stop by Spydra's castle and see what that was all about. I thought that it had been a while since we've seen He-Man's gadget belt.
Yeah.
Got to see him pull a grappling hook out of his belt. I do question how comfortable that can be. Having a grappling belt down with your jewels. But anyway, I really
playing with trouser snakes.
I really thought that Montork was hilarious in this episode.
He was. He was really well done in this one.
Yeah. We saw him in Orko's uncle, or Orko's favorite uncle, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really like him in that episode. He didn't do much for me. And, I just overall didn't care for him. And in this episode, I thought he was done much better. Now, obviously, in that
have a sidekick with him.
Yeah, and obviously in that other episode, he was supposed to be kind of the person under the spell, whereas this time Orko's the one under the spell. Doug Booth, you're so original. Anyway, but I just thought Montork was much better in this episode, so I appreciated that. That was kind of a highlight for me.
Huh. Is that it?
That's all I got.
All right, let's jump over the rocks and avoid the lava to get to Snake Mountain.
Snake bitten.
Come on, Fiend! Hurry up! Are we going to link our powers, or am I going to have to do it all myself?
Hold your tongue, witch. Yes, our powers will be linked, but with you as my slave. You are now under my spell.
My magic is at your command.
No, that's more like it. I can now proceed without all your cackling.
So we are inside Snake Mountain, and the only thing I had written down really was Tila struggles under the tablecloth. Really, all she had to do was pull it off like Orko did.
Yeah.
I mean, that was such a bad gag. Okay, I don't know. What do you got?
First of all, like I said, this would have been a decent... The plot works if you have two believable villains. The fact that Spydra resides on Eternia, has this cool Spider's Castle that everybody knows about, apparently, makes me think that... I know we're only on episode 30 here.
Mm-hmm.
But should it at least have been in the background? Should we have at least had a mention of Spider's Castle at some point? A mention of her existence? If she's this powerful force on Eternia?
Yeah.
I don't know. Second that with the two villains that you're teaming up here, both look retarded. Especially Azrog. That's a dumb design. Like, whoever okayed that, drew that up, and got it okayed, like, that was bad. He does not look like a powerful wizard of Trala or whatever. So I just don't necessarily know if I can buy these two as being the two that are going to cross dimensions and team up as these powerful villains. So I had a little...
And essentially, this is a male chauvinist episode with the villains because Azrog essentially just calls her a crazy woman and then hypnotizes her into doing his bidding.
Yeah, so she wasn't very powerful if she could be hypnotized that easy either, as well.
Yeah.
Okay, the ending's really bad. Like, the last, 10 minutes gets really long in the tooth. Gets really sappy. There's all kinds of love going on there. Too much for me. Yeah. Like, if you mention it once or twice, that's fine, but they really go overboard with the love angle at the end. So I did not appreciate that. And they actually messed up. This is more quality writing here by someone who I'm sure was way too busy and didn't care because it was just a kid's show. That's what he would say, I bet you, if you asked him. But this is a legit mess up here. I even rewound it. It sounds weird saying rewind when you're talking about DVD and Netflix and stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, I even watched it a second and maybe even a third time to make sure of this. All right. They are in I believe at the Royal Palace at this time. And Azrog has just taken off. Mm-hmm. Right after because he showed up at the palace instead of Spydra's castle. Okay. And Adam and Tila and Orko are there. Because Orko's like, oh, this is going to be Montork. This is this thing I always see when Montork comes. And it's not him. All right. And there's mention, while Adam, Tila, and Orko are there, that Montork was following Azrog.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Adam then leaves to turn into He-Man.
Yeah.
Okay, He-Man now comes back. And they're all freaking out and wondering what to do. And He-Man says, Well, Montork said, we know that Montork was following Azrog, so Montork must be at Spider's castle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not everybody in the room should have said, wait a second, how the heck do you know that, He-Man? You weren't here 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Because Adam was the one that knew that, not
Mm-hmm.
He-Man. So that's just bad writing, because all the characters should have been picking up on something that He-Man, who just waltzed in, who should have been coming from who knows where, he's just new to the scene, knows a conversation that we just had 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Unless he's just a voyeur. I don't know. So bad writing.
I won't begrudge you your bad writing opinion, but at the same time, there have been other issues like that Adam knows something than He-Man knows it, or vice versa.
I just say this one literally caught me, though. It's like...
Well, no. I understand. I'm not faulting you for it. I'm not saying you can't have that opinion. I'm saying that there have been other times that this has happened, and the way I see it is because technically Adam and He-Man are the two personalities in one body.
Yeah. But he should have been smarter to say something.
Well, true. That's true. But again, that's where the poor writing comes in. All as I'm saying is that it has happened before, so this isn't like the only time it's happened.
Writers that are writing for people that are split personalities, like Adam and He-Man, should know better. That should be something that they, when they're editing their script or whatever, they should be like, did I mess up anywhere where Adam or He-Man is somewhere, knows something that he shouldn't? I don't know. Or if he does do that, then other characters would have at least acknowledged, how does he know that?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There are minor problems compared to the Valley of Shit. But still problems nonetheless.
Yes. All right, it is awards time.
Woo! Let's end this episode on a positive note.
He-Man, is that you? I can't find Orko, and I'm really worried.
Well, I'm worried about this.
See what you mean. Hurry! I've got it. No grow. Hickory jump.
So it is time to hand out some hardware. Tila, tablecloth, enough said. Havoc staff, bitch.
You're not a big fan of Tila. Just saying.
Really. What, are you going to give anything
yes,
out?
I am. I am going to be positive here because I'm not just trashing everything that happened in all three of these episodes. I will happily hand a power sword to Uncle Montork.
Okay.
He was funny. He was entertaining. He was the highlight of this episode for me by far. He redeemed himself for the other appearance, and it made it as like he is a legit character that I can stand now in this series. So good job, Montork.
Alrighty then. For me, I will. I agree, and I will also give a power sword to Montork. He was very awesome. Like I said before, the whole question of how does his power work everywhere but Orko's doesn't. One of the reasons why I first questioned that was because when he first got captured by Azrog, and then he was like, Azrog, and I'm doing a poor impression of Lou Scheimer, but Azrog, I'm a better magician than you, blah, blah, blah. See, pow, I can get out of here. I was like, oh, wow, Uncle Montork's pretty awesome. He can get out of a spider web. What do you rank this one?
Still, it's not... I enjoyed the episode, I guess. I had some problems with the episode as well. Spydra and Azrog, just as the two villains, I just didn't like them as much as I've liked other villains that have been used. So I'm still staying right in the middle and giving this one a 3 as well.
Same here. It was a 3. I enjoyed it. But there was no real depth to their plot at all. I mean, it was, again, just like the game plan I said where, hey, let's build this character up and have him try to take over the planet, and then he never comes back again. Same thing with these two. It's like, hey, let's have these two team up, try to take over the planet. Midway through, Azrog pulls the,
Yeah, that was a poor choice.
Pulls the sexist card, and, yeah, so 3 out of 5. All right, we're going to go to a quick ad break. You're going to hear the PSAs from these episodes, as well as I think I also got a couple of other quotes So you'll hear that amongst other podcast ads, and we'll be back on the other side to close the show.
It sure is nice to spend a day in the woods. Nature offers us much to enjoy. Unfortunately, some people do things which hurt the plant and animal life in the forest. Like Danavis in today's story. By taking the mother rose egg, he upset the natural order of things. So the next time you're in a beautiful outdoor setting, enjoy yourself, but be sure to leave things just as you found them. That way the next person can enjoy them too.
Welcome to my throne room, Future Tales. The Beast Unleashed podcast is over, not gone. You can hear more of this great podcast, discussing all the episodes of Beast Wars and Beast Machines on GeekCastRadio.com. We include voice actor and writer interviews with stellar hosting by Steve, Mike, and Michael. Head on over to iTunes or the net, or else I will send you my vehicles to extract your spark and destroy you. Yes.
Are you looking for a weekly dose of gaming news and retro? And check out Off the Cuff, available Fridays on Geekcast Radio Network from the producers of XRG. New name, same.
Everybody likes to play games, but when they do, it's natural to try and win. But some people try so hard to win that they forget about safety. They get excited, lose their tempers, and then run the risk of hurting themselves or someone else by playing too rough. No game is worth an injury. When you play, don't be so anxious to win that you'll do something which you'll regret later on. Play it safe.
You can now hear the Geekcast Radio Network while on the go with Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher is a free-use and talk mobile app available for your smartphone. And when you download Stitcher to hear Geekcast Radio, you'll have a chance to win money. Downloading is quick and easy. Just find Stitcher in the App Store. During registration, hit the promo code box and enter Geekcast Radio, all one word, to get automatically entered to win $100. The latest episodes of the shows will be waiting for you in your favorites. You'll get access to lots of other amazing shows too. Always available to you on demand, no syncing. It's Stitcher Smart Radio. Don't forget to enter promo code Geekcast Radio when you register.
Come on, Battle Cat. An Eternian snail can move faster than this.
One more crack and you're walking.
Like animation? Come listen to Animation Aficionados.
And if you disagree with us, you could be a guest on a future show.
Available on iTunes, the Zune Market, and AnimationAficionados.com.
He-Man, you forgot just one thing. I can't fly this crazy thing.
Just hang on, Battle Cat. I'll think of something.
I hope so. Your airplane's shaking the stripes off of me.
Hey, this is Ernest letting you know for the Powers of Grayskull, Episode 9. The Tale of Two Cities seems to be a direct copy of the Tarzan episode, Tarzan in the City of Gold, including the plot. Later.
Boy, I sure got myself in trouble today. And it all started when I fooled around with something I didn't really understand. When you're growing up, it's natural to be curious. But when you fool around with things you don't understand, it's downright dangerous. Things like electricity, pills, or berries in the bush. Play around with them and you're playing with trouble. Handle only the things you know are safe, and you'll be taking a big step toward avoiding accidents. Bye!
So at the end of that there, we get our first voicemail. I couldn't make out the guy's name, I'm sorry. But very nice listener sent us a voicemail saying that the Tale of Two Cities is essentially a copy of, I think it was...
Something to do with Tarzan.
Tarzan, the Golden City of Gold, or
it's not just a copy of that. It's a copy of many stories before.
Yeah.
They're not trying to hide that. They named it A Tale of Two Cities, which is even the name of other things have used that exact name. So I don't think they were trying to be sly and like act like this was an original plot as far as two feuding cities. They were very open about that. But I agree. It's been used in multiple other formats.
Thank you for leaving the voicemail. All right, so I almost don't think we need this section anymore.
Shut up, we do.
Some stuff
Things
every week.
No, it's different for me this week.
Okay, well, what are your thoughts on the series?
My thoughts on the series, if I was a kid right now, this was our Wednesday, Thursday, Friday episodes.
Yeah.
All right. This is how the week would have ended.
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid, I would have gone through my weekend never thinking about He-Man. No, I'm just saying, none of these episodes would have. Sometimes you get something like this has happened even in recent times with, like let's say Thundercats or Transformers Prime or whatever recent cartoons. It happens probably with people that watch the Clone Wars or whatever, where you watch something and you see that Friday episode or whatever it is. I know some stuff airs on Saturday, whatever. But if it's a weekly show, there might still be stuff that you see on Friday and you're like, I can't wait to see what happens with this. I can't wait to see where this is going. Or I'm going to be thinking about that episode again and again and reliving it and rethinking about it, throughout the weekend until the next episode. These 3 episodes and where the series has gone in what would have been this calendar week in October, it wouldn't have been on my mind at all.
Mm.
Like I literally would have gone through my weekend playing with my Transformers or playing with something else. Like He-Man would have been something like I could see certain kids where this is where they stopped watching He-Man.
Mm.
This is singly, as far as our podcast episode, this is episode 10. This is the worst trio of episodes we've reviewed so far.
Yeah, I agree. These episodes weren't that. For me, there's a couple of shining moments with Cringer and Battlecat, and Montork. But other than that, these 3 episodes really do suck.
I mean, none of us gave any of these episodes above a 3.
No.
It just like this is not a good spot in the series. The series needs to go up, and there's a couple of ways that they can do that. First of all, you need to use Ram Man more. All right, I think Ram Man needs to be present as much as Man-at-Arms and Tila are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he needs to be a regular part of the crew. I know you said that eventually happens. Hopefully that's right. Because he adds an element. Because you have Man-at-Arms, who is the science, the inventor, the brains.
Yeah.
Right? You have He-Man, which is obviously our hero. You have Tila, who is very much like, the second in command type person.
Yeah.
You have Cringer and Orko giving a little bit of comedy, but you don't have that brute, dumb comedic force going. You don't have that, what Ram Man perfectly does.
Yeah.
And he needs to be present in that dynamic, because otherwise if it's just Man-at-Arms, Tila, and He-Man, you don't have enough dynamic there. And Ram Man spices it up a lot, so he needs to be used way more often.
Mm.
Another thing that I think needs to happen at this point, and I know it's just because of the order that we're doing this, but this is the order it would have aired. If I was a kid and I would have just gone, now I will have to review because we did episode 30, 29, and 28 today.
Mm.
Episode 27, I don't remember which episode which order we did them in.
Mm-hmm.
But we literally, if you're a kid, you've just gone almost an entire week without seeing Skeletor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You haven't seen any of the Evil Warriors Wednesday. You didn't see them Thursday. You didn't see them Friday.
Episode 9 was 25 to 27, Quest for the Sword, Beastly Sideshow, and Tale of Two Cities. Skeletor was in Beastly Sideshow.
So it wasn't in Tale of Two Cities either.
No, he wasn't.
So literally as a kid...
1 out of 6 episodes.
No, for the week, though. You did not...
Right.
You saw him on Monday. You do not see him again for the rest of the week. You don't see an Evil Warrior or a Skeletor Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
Right.
That's not good. Like, you can deal with your episodes without him, and I think it's cool that they actually... Because some series never have an episode without their bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we... Up to this point in reviewing Mask, I don't think we've seen an episode where Miles Mayhem is not present.
No, because that's all they have is
I'm
Miles.
saying, I don't mind eventually seeing an episode. Like, I think it's cool when you had, like, a Transformers episode if Megatron wasn't in there for once.
That usually happens when Starscream attempts to take over.
But those kind of episodes are
right. No,
valuable if they're done not 4 consecutive days.
Yeah.
So in this part of the series, you need to add Ram Man, you need to add some more flavor with Skeletor, and like I've been begging, and I'm going to get my wish come true because the episode titles for our next week reveal some things, but we need to have some focus on some other characters.
Right.
Whether it be Ram Man, Stratos, which we've kind of had a little bit of both, or
we've had more Ram Man than Stratos, but yeah.
Or the bad characters, or whoever. I need some focus on some characters that are not just villains of the week. You know, we did get a little focus on Montork, but I need some focus on some main villains or heroes. Masters, I should say. And so that's what I'm looking for. More Ram Man, more Skeletor, and a character-focused episode or 2 or 3.
I think the problem with this week of episodes, or this week's in October's episodes, is that because Skeletor isn't present in any of them, it builds it up to where you want the next Skeletor episode to be the biggest, most epic plan ever. And I know that's not going to happen because it's the 80s, and it's because, the cliched plots, and even Skeletor in some episodes is reduced to being a villain of the week plot episode type deal. So I don't know. I'm still enjoying it. As much as I didn't like most of these episodes, there are, like I said, shining moments like Battle Cat's, scaring the pants off the Nergs, or Battle Cat saying, my brilliant plan has now been defeated, or whatever he said when he was trapped at the top of the bridge, tunnel, whatever the hell it was. But yeah, I mean, we need to get back to Skeletor, we need to get back to some of the Evil Warriors, we need to introduce more Master stuff and all that good stuff.
Well, it's because it's almost like they're avoiding Skeletor because they're like, we've already done all this and done all that. No, you've done that and done this, but you haven't explored any of their characters.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Thank you for listening to Tales of Eternia. If you'd like to get in contact with us and leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on all of our posts. Send email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. Leave the show's feedback in iTunes. Please do this. Follow us on Twitter. The network Twitter is @geekcastradio. Mine is TFG1Mike. What is your Twitter?
@OptimusSolo.
Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/geekcastradio network. Call the voicemail line. Tell us the show you're leaving the message for and your name. 502-526-5821. There is a 5-minute time limit.
Well, that's a lot of time, so you don't have to rush.
Yes, exactly. We hope you enjoyed the tales today, and don't forget to join us in our next adventure when we will be discussing episodes 31, 32, and 33, The Mystery of Many Faces. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes! I don't even know if that episode's going to be good or not, but I have high hopes for it. That's what I've been waiting for.
Keeper of the Ancient Ruins, and the Region of Ice.
It also marks the halfway point of Season 1.
Awesome. For now, I am TFG1Mike with
the one and only OptimusSolo.
And remember, by the powers of Grayskull, we all have the power.
So swears Skeletor!